Hi, I wanted to share an excerpt from the Derealization and Depersonalization Masterclass that I did. And when the video starts, I'm going to be reading some people's experiences so you can hear not just kind of a textbook clinical thing about what it's like, but real people that are in my Instagram community and what it's like for them. So I'm so happy, and I hope that you like this excerpt. If you do and you want to get the full thing, you can find it on my website or just email me. Here we go. I feel like I'm high, which is my biggest fear. For me, it's the worst symptom of my panic disorder, and I still don't understand it. How do I get through it? Because I've been dealing with it every day for 2 weeks now. It's very scary. Derealization to me is super scary and feels like I have zero control over my body. My vision is super strange, and everything looks like a weird version of the world. Also hard for me to connect with others and the world around me. Feels like I'm in a different world from everyone else, and like I'll start to hallucinate or lose my mind. Thanks to you, it's way less now. Feels like I don't know who I am or anyone is around me. Am I real? Is my life real? Do I know the people around me? Is it all a dream? Detached feeling like everything around me isn't real, and I'm hyper aware of my existence and feel people around me are strangers. Then I get this existential dread and feel like I'm losing my mind. But then it goes away and I'm fine again. But sometimes I'm scared to look at people because I'm scared it will trigger the feeling. To me, I feel out of body and like things aren't real around me. It'll happen at the most random times. It seems like if I pay more attention to it or worry about it, it makes it worse. Feels like I'm high, kind of like a tunnel vision and like everything is fake or I'm in a dream. I don't fear it anymore because I know it's my body telling me to chill out, basically, although it's uncomfortable. Just like being in the back seat of a car, not driving, but just watching everything pass by around you. I read that first one already. It felt like I'm not me in this body anymore. I thought that I will lose my mind or die or both. So glad that it happens very seldom nowadays. And when it does, I know that it's temporary and a huge invitation to slow down. I could have written that one. I mean, I resonate with all of these, and I bet a lot of you do too. Sometimes it's like I can't hear anything while I'm actively listening to someone talk or just the sounds around me. Sometimes I'll do something like walk from one room to the other, and I'll genuinely question how I got there because it feels like it didn't happen. Sometimes it feels like I'm the only real person and everyone else is just made up by for me. It feels like I'm outside my body or I want to escape my body. Also, it feels like everything in me and my surroundings are fake or about to fade away. And my anxiety says I'm losing control or going into psychosis. I feel this 24/7. Also, it feels like I'm looking from the inside out. So I wanted to read them all, or all of those that I received, because I think there's such healing in hearing our own experience in someone else's words. And if your exact experience is not there, do not fear, because whatever your experience is totally valid. And I have shared so many things that I felt alone with, and thousands of people are like, yeah, me too. So what is derealization and depersonalization, or DPDR, all about? This I learned from my mentor, Dr. Pettit. The human system is benevolent and beneficent. Benevolent is well-meaning and kindly. Beneficent is generous or doing good, resulting in good. I did not know that. The fact that we experience derealization and depersonalization, it's a part of the kindness in the design. Our brain is saying, I love you. I'm helping you detach from your severe stress. I didn't know that. I did not know it was helpful. It did not feel like that. So DPDR, just defense mechanisms of the brain. It's likely that the mind simply shuts down certain components during extreme stress, because otherwise the intensity of that stress would be too much. It simply tunes out the world instead. And while it's from love, you feel as though something is off about the world, or off about you. I remember it was about 3.5 years ago that I first heard Dr. Pettit talk about love letters. I can remember exactly where I was, actually on a walk in where I used to live, and thinking I did not like it. I don't know why. It kind of made me angry because I thought I'm never going to feel like that. Even though I had stopped resisting panic attacks, I just was like, ew, like love letters? No. But I feel that so deeply now. That symptoms of anxiety are friendly alarms letting you know when you're innocently misusing the gift of thought. During one of our sessions, Dr. Pettit said symptoms are friendly alarms with information from love. These symptoms are letting you know to leave your thinking alone. And as you saw from people's comments, that they started to understand, these were just invitations to slow down. They're not signs you're losing your mind. They're just signals letting you know you had so much stressful thinking that your brain started to tune out the world or make you feel a little removed. Sometimes disassociation happens, as a result of trauma. It's just total defense mechanism. And sometimes, and kind of, I guess what I'm focusing on here is when it happens as a result of panic, of anxiety, of so much stressful thinking that our brain jumps in, loving us, removing us, detaching us. I didn't know that. After having a panic attack and experiencing derealization and depersonalization, my thinking ramped up. I should have done the opposite. I mean, no shoulds, but a better feeling way would have been to stop thinking as much, to stop taking my thoughts so seriously, but I didn't know that. I tried to control my life with my intellectual mind, innocently telling my nervous system that I was not safe because it didn't feel safe and that it needed to remain in a near constant state of fight or flight, constantly thinking about feeling weird and trying to prevent panic attacks and wondering how I was going to cope. The more I tried to not feel off, and off is in quotes because it's like, that was even just how I was feeling was neutral, but my brain would label it as off, by constantly trying to figure it out and trying to analyze, the more my body was activated into a stress response. What can happen is the domino effect. I learned this from George Pransky, who is an amazing therapist and three principles practitioner. So the domino effect creates distortions, and that happens with panic, with anxiety, with derealization and depersonalization. Our thinking is off. But so we might have, kind of, for example, if you were walking down a dark alley or just like you're walking home at night and you think, oh my gosh, someone is behind me. And your heart starts beating faster, your senses, your spidey senses go on, and you might even have some judgmental thoughts. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm walking home at night. Oh my God, is that person getting close? Like your thoughts and your feelings are just playing off of each other. With panic or with derealization, it could be, oh my gosh, oh no, it's starting. I feel weird. Oh my gosh, is it going to happen? Oh no, how long is it going to stay? What did I do wrong? Am I going to go to work? Am I going to go and it's just this domino effect, and our thinking gets really distorted. And in the example of walking home at night, your thinking can be creating, oh no, like a murderer is walking behind me. And then what can happen is you realize it's a mom with a stroller when she walks past. Oh, the relief. Your mind kind of just made that up. But it was true. It felt true at that time. When I experienced initially derealization and depersonalization on and off for those 7 years, and I didn't have it 24/7 for 7 years. There would be, long periods where I didn't get it, but I just was struggled with it for that long. I did not understand. But understanding can reverse it. Understanding can undercut it. And the next time you have the beginning of a domino effect, a light can go off and I don't want to make this a technique because then that just adds more thinking, but it might come up, when you start feeling off or whatever your brain labels as off and you think, oh God, am I losing my mind? Oh no, is it coming? Am I going to have a panic attack? But maybe it's not even a panic attack this time. Maybe I really am losing my mind. Maybe something is wrong with my vision. Maybe I am going into psychosis. Oh my God, maybe it's this. Oh, domino effect. Things are distorted. I'm going to leave my thinking alone. What can happen is we can have this basement thinking, kind of, I'm going to get more into it as we go on, but we have levels of consciousness, states of mind. And especially when we are suffering, when we are struggling, or often we're in a lower mood, looks like there is a big problem and it needs to be fixed. But that's the intellect coming in, and we're not thinking clearly. We are not wise when we're in the basement. That's not the time to solve anything. And so it's just kind of like leaving your hands alone. Like it's, as I said, when I kind of experienced a little bit of derealization, I was in a hole. I didn't need to solve anything then. Over that bit, and it's just become clearer. Oh, You know what? I think I'd overall feel better to have less concerns in my head. Because what happens when something looks like a big problem and derealization, I didn't know what it was, but I could just say panic attacks for me. Panic attacks and driving anxiety looked like a huge problem. I also had a lot of other stuff going on, health anxiety, but that actually was a blind spot. It did not look like a problem. But panic, driving anxiety, feeling really weird, it seemed so big because I kept thinking about it, working at it. I heard this from Michael Neal. Thoughts are like flaccid balloons. Each time we think about a problem, a quote unquote problem, and work on it, we blow into it. A little more of our energy, a little more of our life force. They become bigger and bigger. At any moment, you could let go of the end and it goes. That doesn't mean, oh, it's easy, but it is that simple. Simplicity is the key. The simplicity of what I'm sharing with you was the key for me. I tried so many things: neurofeedback, somatic therapy, and I didn't just go to one session. I did a lot of somatic therapy, a lot of neurofeedback, a lot of talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, hypnosis. I did not do too much hypnosis because when I went to hypnosis, I was in a state of derealization and depersonalization. So I was incredibly scared, or just had that bad feeling. So I wasn't even perceptive if it was going to work. I was just obviously super in my head and feeling really weird. I changed my diet so much, focused so much on sleep, trying to get 8 hours. I was so afraid of feeling off in any way. I felt so different. I felt so broken. So, I could just see how, looking back, how busy my mind was. Of course, my brain came in to say, hey, love, give yourself a break, but I just felt different. So I was married at the time, to a lovely man, but I was so afraid to even stay up watching TV with him because I thought the blue light from the TV would impact my sleep. But then I felt like a bad wife if I didn't connect. So some nights I would watch a show and I'd wear blue light blocking glasses and kind of be anxious the whole time. I felt like damned if I did, damned if I didn't. Because I'd go to bed just feeling like a failure. My anxiety and panic and OCD really stopped me from, in my mind, being the mom I want to be, being the wife I wanted to be. So I just go to bed at night just with such guilt, such feelings of failure and fear of not sleeping. Because if I didn't sleep, I felt like, well, sleep is so vital to mental health. And I didn't want to feel off. I really felt very close to insanity because that's what derealization and depersonalization felt like to me. So of course it seemed like a big problem. I also had a lot of other symptoms, and one was my breathing was off. I would unintentionally hold my breath. And then I also had like sensory motor OCD in a way of I was hyper fixated on my breathing because I just overcomplicated. I didn't understand it all. I thought I just tried so much breath work. Oh, I also did a lot of meditation and mindfulness. And I thought, well, I need to find a way to do these all the time because that's what it means to have a quiet head. And so I became certified to teach meditation and mindfulness in schools. I mean, I also believed in it. Obviously, I thought it was great. I didn't just do it for myself. I mean, there's a lot of truths and beauty in, and that's what, having a quieter mind, just the way I was going about it was actually with more thinking. But then yoga and yoga therapy, and then I became certified to teach yoga in schools. But all of it was like thinking and being on guard and hyper focusing on my experience in my body and in my brain. And so in the morning, I was so afraid. I didn't have any caffeine, but I felt like I had to have a stable breakfast, like anything to prevent feeling off. But the whole time I was really listening to my brain narrating its thoughts about how I was doing. And, when I found the three principles, what it kind of pointed to me was that I was innocently overcomplicating it. And it was really welcome to try to do less. But I just first thought like, well, let me try this out. Let me see. Suffering. This is again from Dr. Pettit, and I can't remember the book that he kind of was inspired. I don't think this quote is a direct quote from it, but suffering is not punishment. It's a salutatory, and salutatory means health promoting. We looked it up during one of our sessions. A salutatory invitation to look in a new direction beyond the intellect. I did not know that. I thought suffering was a huge problem, and I thought I was to blame and I was different and I needed to work harder. But it is just an invitation. Again, this is this kindness in the design. You're suffering brought you here knowing you are not designed to suffer. Or I mean, you are in a way, but that's a wake-up call, a friendly wake-up call. Hey, my love, you can enjoy your beautiful life. Let's look at a new direction beyond your intellect.